If you're struggling massively to create YouTube thumbnails or it's costing you way too much money to create them, then this is the video for you. I'm going to quickly show you how to make a thumbnail in Canva using just 3 simple tools, and this is going to allow us to really produce much more content or much more thumbnails and grow our overall YouTube channel. So the key thing here, the first thing what we want to do is we want to jump over to Canva. And from there, if you click Canva in the top left, you click create a YouTube thumbnail, and pretty much this is our starting point. So from this, my process here and the way I go about it is I always look to include text on the left. We have a background image and obviously a picture of myself on the right hand side. And this I just vary every so often. But as I said, try to keep it simple. But as I said, we can easily upgrade or have maybe 3 of these thumbnails that's going to allow us to kind of test them obviously when it comes to YouTube. So now that we're on ChatGPT here, what we want to do now is get 2 things. I want to get a brief idea of the title to include on the thumbnail, and I want a background to design. So for this instance, what I'm going to do is get it to potentially make the thumbnail that hopefully you will see in this video. So I'm going to dictate what I want AI to give it to me as a prompt to kind of help me understand this a bit more. I want you to create a prompt and an outline for a thumbnail design for my YouTube video. My YouTube video focuses on how to create a thumbnail using Canva. I want you to include the background information, what it should have, the general background design, and also the key titles, what it should have actually on the thumbnail, please. So what you can see here now, it's going to prompt out pretty much a general idea of the thumbnail. And again, the key here is what we want to do is pretty much just use this and bring it over to Canva again. So with that, we obviously jump over here to Canva. You can see it here. So what I want to do is grab all the text here and pretty much leave it like this, because I will add the text to it myself in a minute. And we go over to Canva AI. We get it to created. Again, Canva AI is over here on the left. Scroll right down, Canva AI. You select the options here, create an image. Again, the concept we can change whatever way we want it. So cinematic concept. We wanted a ratio of 16:9 and just hit enter. Now that that's doing that, we pretty much are starting to get the background ready. So with that, the next step will be to upload images of ourselves and the text. So what I'll do is just pick one of these at the moment. So something like this maybe will stand out a little bit. We just copy image and paste it in. The next step here is what we're looking to do is see what the actual text is. So the text on thumbnail is make the thumbnail fast. We could have that as the main text, and then we can actually have the Canva writing in it a bit differently. So what we'll do is go up to text, add the headings, paste it in, and that's the starting point. So obviously we want to make this much bigger. I like to use the Anton font for most of my thumbnails. We just add an effect, and from there we want to add an outline, and we add the black outline to kind of make it pop out a bit more. So that's the start of it anyway. So now that we have the text here on the page, next step is obviously having an image on it. So I have an image here already uploaded, and obviously one of myself. You can see here straight away I'm pointing the wrong direction. So all I do here is just flip it, and up here in the top, flip horizontal, and pretty much make it like that. So we want to kind of focus a bit more on the text here. So as I mentioned over here, it gave us pretty much an idea. So we have a Canva tutorial. We pretty much want to use that. We'll bring this down again, and there's a Canva tutorial we can change. We'll mess around with this one in a minute and hopefully see can we get that to fit a bit better. And what I like to do sometimes with this is, instead of having the outline, is I just add a background. Again, we can change the background to color that might stand out a bit more, and again we change this elements, and that's pretty much the basics of your thumbnail already designed. Now obviously here is potentially the problem, because it's a little bit I would rather maybe just in its own line, so we might have to play around with this a little bit more. Maybe change the size, and we could emphasize the fast. So this is where, as I said, changing some elements around. But that's pretty much your very first thumbnail. I'm not 100% sure if I'm 100% happy with it. So what I'll do here is, what I like to do is duplicate it. Obviously we want to change this up a little bit, and maybe the background itself mightn't be 100%. So with this here, I'm interested now in obviously having a different color top here. I'm not happy with the blue, for example, in this scenario, and what we try to do is see can we actually change it. So with that, what we do is we load up Gemini AI, And you can already see here I've uploaded this image, and this is the image that we're actually using over here. Obviously it's just flipped, and what I've done is I asked it to pretty much put this top on me. Obviously we're going to keep the entire position that I'm pointing to the same, and with that we got the image. So this has completely just changed my entire top without having to do anything. Again, what I do is just download that, bring it back over here to my thumbnails, and with that I can just drag it in from my folders. And with the option up here we can go background remover, and you can see straight away it's created an entire new pretty much person again, obviously using the same posture. Everything is the same with the exception of the clothing. So now we can just plop that in there. That may look a little bit better already because it doesn't blend in with the background. So now what we could do is see if we could potentially change the effects color to see can it take the top color. And then, as I said, this may need to change just to add a little bit of extra depth, I think, to it, because at the moment it's still not right. So again, you could go back to your description here, make thumbnails fast. You might have to change the wording a little bit around here just to get it lined up the way you're comfortable with. But again, look, you can see there how quickly we created 2 different thumbnails and pretty much change our entire person. And what I'll do with this is ask it to do one more prompt to see can it actually change it. So what I wanted to do this time is I want the person to point with only one hand, the other. So again, I just want to see does it change it. Now this sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. You might have to kind of go back and forth a little bit, but the idea here is pretty much giving us a bit of freedom to kind of take your general stock image and get a bit more work. So look, it changes right down to not pointing at all, but again, this is a starting point again. So we could turn around and ask it to change, point with one hand, point to the left, point to the right, change our overall expressions. So we quickly ask it to make the person look surprised. So this can sometimes really throw it off. It'll make it look like it's crying and add fake tears and stuff like that to it. Obviously the fake tears are kind of done like clip art, so wouldn't be the best most of the times. So again, we can see this could potentially, so there's one, kept some of the resemblance, obviously changed a little bit with the eyes and stuff, but again, it gives you an idea of how you can quickly do this. So what happens most times with these is, in this scenario, you'd ask it to look surprised with its hands over its mouth. So what happens then, it kind of, it keeps the resemblance of the person there, but obviously with the hands over it, you don't notice it as much. Yeah, so look, that is pretty much how you can use AI to potentially create your thumbnails and help you create your thumbnails. It's a lot of going back and forth through the different tools, but as I said, like with Canva here and Canva AI, we can create different variations of this. So like here, we can say, instead of it being purple, we can have it green, blue gradient. And again, what it's going to do is change the entire background, which could work based on your your overall design. But like, as I said, the key here is what you want to do is maybe focus 100% on keeping the backgrounds or changing the background colors. But as I said, keep a general layout of how you want your actual text and person and stuff like that to be structured. So you can see again, we've added a different background, adds a different bit of depth to it, but overall you can see how it's working. So look, hopefully that helps you understand how you can use Canva, obviously ChatGPT and Gemini AI to really streamline how you create your thumbnails and improve overall thumbnail creation. So look, we're going to leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope everyone has a great day.